Hi guys, Hari here, doing another first-person VOD of a game that I played a few days ago, so I might not be completely remembering exactly what happened, but should still be fun to comment it nonetheless. Um, so I think this game I random. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't even watching the screen at the beginning there, just trying to go over in my head what I was gonna say. I random. Some games I random, sometimes I don't. I don't know. It just depends whether I feel like it or not. Anyway, here I randomed. I think I was kind of maybe a little bit dissuaded in this game after playing a couple games with really bad teammates. I was just like, whatever, screw it, take what hero I can get. Fortunately, I got Dazzle, who I think is a really strong hero. Obviously, getting support in most of these games is pretty good because most pub players don't want to play support, and Dazzle's a really strong support. I think, yeah, at this point in this game, which at the point at which this game started, I was undefeated with him. So now I'm kind of just saying what we need. We have Axe already, so for a jungle, I can support a carry top, a side lane solo who can solo bottom like a Windrunner, and then just some sort of mid solo. So there's the carry pick. So now we just need a mid solo and a bottom lane solo, and we'll be perfect. With carry top, it'll make it easier for me to stack and pull for him, guarantee his free farm, and we can gank with Axe, setting up easy kills. And, Windrunner or something like that. Priestess of the Moon would be good too, but she's already picked by the other team, are really strong long lane solos. They should have no problem. Maybe even a Weaver or something like that. Although I'm not so sure Weaver's so good against the lineup we're facing here, but Windrunner would be great. I mean, Windrunner's always great. Shackle Shot's just ridiculous. As far as items go, I random, so it's pretty easy for me to afford to buy the courier and wards. Other than that, I just get a little bit of regen and a ring that I plan on turning into a Bassi. Having Bassi is great with Shadow Shaman because it makes it easy to push lanes with the heal, and I've noticed in pubs a lot of people don't often get Bassi, so it's good for someone to pick it up. Anyway, here I assumed those were going to be the lanes, but now it looks like Stealth Assassin's actually going to be going mid, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but I guess he figures Pudge is going to be mid, which is what he's saying, or going to say soon, and Riki has pretty good attack animation and good damage, so I guess he can do a decent job against a Pudge mid. And if Pudge ever hooks him in or anything, he can just blink strike out to the range creep, and he should be fine. And if Pudge just tries fighting him, you can just throw up the smoke and then blink strike out, try to avoid getting hooked, etc. So it seems like a pretty decent matchup. Still, I would rather have him top, having Ancient Apparition mid. Ancient Apparition is a great mid against Pudge. It's really hard for Pudge to kill an Ancient Apparition because if he hooks him in, you can just Cold Feet, and usually Pudge can't kill him in time before the Cold Feet freeze is going to last. And also, you can force the Pudge back off the lane, or off the creeps, using Cold Feet. So, whatever, I'm just going to go with it. Like I said, going into the game, I think I was a little bit disheartened, so I was just going to, let it happen. So my point here is that I basically bought all support items, and that means I really can't solo. Dazzle certainly can solo lane, even solo side lane, although I don't think it's really optimal. But I could do it, but having spent 400 gold on wards and courier, even with the random gold, it'd still be kind of rough for me. So access a lane, which is nice. Unfortunately, we already see a first blood bottom at 40 seconds. That's really early to be dying. But I guess it's a tri-lane bottom, and they weren't really expecting that, so yeah, I mean, that'll happen. I guess, I don't know. Should have maybe seen the tri-lane coming. Although no real reason to think that they wouldn't just put a dual range top with the Mirana. Yeah, kind of a misclick there. I meant to deny that creep, but it attacked the other creep instead. But anyway, so in general, I would let Axe farm here, but after watching him with the first couple creeps, and it's maybe a little bit harder to tell from the spectator standpoint, but in the game, you can kind of tell how the creeps are going with him, and he really does a good job of hitting every single creep right before the point to hit it. Like, he's basically timed his last hitting to the point where like there and the one before he gave Marana a deny by hitting it right before. There he gives Marana a kill by hitting it right before. I mean, he's just like constantly hitting it right at the wrong time, just like right before, and it's really actually kind of driving me a little bit crazy. I would love to be supporting him, and generally what I should be doing in this lane was running out and just trading harassment with the Marana, letting the Axe free farm. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to do that. Dazzle doesn't have a lot of health at level 1, only 511, so Marana will probably be able to beat me on it, but I still should have tried doing that anyway. I don't remember exactly why I didn't. Again, I think I was still just a little pissed off by the fact that the people weren't doing the lanes very intelligently. Like, yeah, see here I'd go to do it a little bit, although we're too close to the creeps, and she's already gained a level advantage for the 2 versus 1ing, so it's not going to work quite as effectively. Anyway, I did place a ward. I guess I should explain that. I mean, that actually doesn't really bear explaining. It's just if I was bottom, I would place it over the bottom rune, but since I went top with the wards, I placed it over the top rune. Just to have the rune vision. Sometimes I would place a lane ward here, especially since we're 2 versus 1ing. It would have made sense for me to run and place the lane ward here earlier on so that I could harass the Mirana if she tried coming up and to protect the farming person here. But seeing as it's an axe farming, I don't really know that it's the highest priority for me. Yeah, finish up Bessie here. As far as skill build goes, you'll see that I'm maxing Poison Touch. I mean, basically, I think the standard skill build for Dazzle is to, by level 5, have 3 points in Poison Touch. Just getting that 3rd point in Poison Touch adds the stun and gives it a longer duration. I mean, each of the first 3 points give it a longer duration, but adding the stun at level 3 is really nice. 1 second stun tacked on at the end is pretty sweet. I did go Healing Wave first because I felt like that would be pretty good with along with the axe. You know, if Axe can taunt them, and with creeps hitting on both sides, then maybe throwing out a Healing Wave would deal a ton of damage. Plus, just having 1 point in the Healing Wave from level 1 is kind of nice, because when you're at full mana, you can just spam Healing Wave on you and your teammate to heal to full, like I probably should be doing right now, but I think I'm too busy complaining to Axe instead. And then I'm going to get Shallow Grave at level 4. I want 1 point in Shallow Grave and 1 point in Healing Wave, just because having 1 point in each of them is such a pretty big impact. 1 point in Healing Wave already does a fair amount of healing and damage if set up correctly, so just that 1 point is awesome. And then obviously you just need 1 point of Shallow Grave early on because, I mean, with 1 point it's still going to have the same effect of saving someone's life. It's just reducing the cooldown is good later on, but early it's not that necessary. If I had been in a 2 versus 2 lane, I would have gotten my 1 point in Shallow Grave probably already. I probably would have gone 1 point in Poison Touch, 1 point in Shallow Grave, 1 point in Healing Wave. For 1-1-1 to start, just so that I have that option of Shallow Graving if my teammate or myself if they go on us. But since we're in a 2 versus 1 lane, it's not really necessary for me to have Shallow Grave. It's unlikely that we're going to be getting killed. So yeah, I upgrade the Flying Courier now. I wanted to get my Bassi first, I guess, because I just wanted to push this lane, although I don't think I have it turned off. My one definite complaint about Dota 2 is that it's very difficult to tell whether the Bassi's on or off graphically. I know the icon itself is supposed to change, but that gets all screwed up anyway, so to the point that it's not really reliable to look at that, so I'm not used to it. Yeah, it looks like they might be going on the Axe here, but he's pretty tanky, and I'm just going to try to stay off to the side and Shallow Grave him if I have to. And yeah, I'm just kind of wondering. The Ancient Apparition is just sitting AFK at the tower. There's an arrow there. Thankfully the creep was there. Maybe saved my life. But yeah, getting back to the skill build. 1-1-1 would be fine in dual lane. You don't need to max the Poison Touch as fast, I guess. Unless you're really in an aggressive dual lane where you think you have the advantage, then getting the Poison Touch earlier on would be nice to go on the offensive. But I don't know. Just having 1 point in Shallow Grave as soon as possible is generally pretty good if you think you're going to. There's a chance you can need it, and you never really know. I mean, you could get ganked by the mid, and then the Shallow Grave would be really helpful. So, but that's why I have it now at level 4, and then my level 5, I'm going to take another point in Poison Touch, and level 6, I will take my ultimate. It's sometimes debatable whether it's better just to go another point in Healing Wave or get the ultimate at 6. Maybe not save off getting the ultimate until levels 10 and 11 and max Healing Wave beforehand. Well, Axe is kind of physical damage, but not so much, but especially with a Ricky on the team who does a lot of physical damage with the backstabs and everything. Having that weave could be great. And I mean, Dazzle has a lot of mana, and his spells, none of them have a huge mana cost, even though, you know, one of them is kind of a spamming spell with the Healing Wave. None of them are super spammy, so you pretty much always have mana to get off all the spells you need. So generally when you avoid picking up an ultimate until a little bit later, it's because you don't think you'll have the mana to use it, because obviously just having the option of using it is usually good. Here we see Axe is actually going to finally push them run off a little bit by harassing with Battle Hunger. I'm now running down in case she does decide to fight, but looks like we should be fine. I should maybe be turning on my ring here and pushing the tower. I'm not sure if I have because it's hard for me to tell, but it would be good to push the tower now. Now that she's pretty low life, it's unlikely that she can defend it. We can probably do a fair amount of damage to the tower. Although there's a pudge. I try Shallow Graving myself and just barely doesn't work. Obviously Shallow Graving would have been good there. It would have been able to save me, and then I could have thrown a Poison Touch on him and probably run away. Yeah, I'm pointing out though that the pudge is level 8, and unfortunately, yeah, the Axe dying to him as well. Not very good. Partially my fault there too. I should have gone and placed the ward at 6 minutes when the other ward died. Yeah, getting up a new set of wards, even though I already still have one, which is, like I'm saying, the one that I should have placed at that spot. You know, when they have a Pudge on the team, whenever you're playing against the Pudge, it's extremely important to keep wards up constantly so that stuff like that doesn't happen. You can see, though, I have a lot of frustration at this point because I feel that, you know, we had great lanes, and lanes I really feel like are the most important thing in pub games. So much in a pub game is decided early on, and just having good lanes is usually enough to win. Anyway, I'm going to place a ward down here. This is a common path that Pudge might take, or a spot that he might stand and try to hook people, so having vision there will make it a lot harder for the mid to get hooked from that direction. And then again, I'm just going to place one here to see if the Pudge comes up into our jungle, to make our jungle a bit safer. I should throw down a lane ward as well, so then our jungle is actually completely safe to farm in, which would be good for Axe. I'm sure now he can go farm the jungle if we get an opportunity, while like Ricky could come farm the lane up here. Yeah, so there's the lane ward as well, so there's no way they could come up here, without smoke at least, without us seeing, so that'll make it a bit safer for us. And yeah, I think I turned the ring on now. I really like to push this tower. I don't know, if we're going to climb back into the game, towers are probably going to be the easiest way to get there, being down 6-0. There's the Mirana. If he can get a Battle Hunger off and I get a Poison Touch, we could probably do something. Yeah, I get the Poison Touch, but unfortunately she leaps right afterwards. He does get the Battle Hunger off, so the 2 dots should deal a fair amount of damage to her while we take on these creeps. And yeah, I guess there had been a creep pulled over there or something, which caused the creeps to go on the side, and so now we have a very large creep wave. Mirana's actually still staying here, and with that Battle Hunger, she's going to be slowed, and Leap should be off cooldown. So yeah, I'm going to throw out a Poison Touch to help kill her, but Axe just runs up and ults. I thought I moved out of the tower range there, but I actually did not. But anyway, I've got to try to hang around if I can to give the creeps the health aura. Yeah, so I backed up at first thinking that maybe some sort of a TP in or gank would be coming, but then when I see that the other team doesn't react, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll just go back in with this next creep wave, but I'm going to pick up my boots first. Having a magic stick would be pretty good too. Magic stick's a great item to just pick up early, but yeah, boots will be nice. Mirana's actually TPing back in, and Axe is just going to kind of go scare her off while I keep attacking this tower. It's just good for me to stay, like I said, with the creep wave, giving that +2 armor aura from the Basilisk, which is so important for pushing lane. But yeah, we see the Pudge coming from the rune there, so the guy pings it, and it's very obvious from not the rune, the ward, to see it, so we should easily have backed up. But instead, Axe is, I don't even know, doing something. It's possible that he was detained by the Mirana a little bit, but I'm pretty sure there's no way Mirana can really stop an Axe from running away enough that to the point which he did. So he certainly should have been able to get away there, but I guess just wasn't paying enough attention, which is kind of what I would expect at this point. So I'm just going to run back to base and heal. Meanwhile, looks like their trialing's been pretty successful, but Ricky is going to come bottom and try to gank. Cold Feet might trigger on... Yeah, it does just barely trigger on the Spirit Breaker, so that should save the Ancient Apparition's life. Fortunately, yeah, the stun from the Vengeful Spirit actually on the wrong target there. Meant to stun the Ancient Apparition to kill him, but it actually hit the Windrunner instead, which did save the Ancient Apparition, and then the Windrunner ends up picking up and killing the Vengeful Spirit. So thank God for my opponent's misclicking. Meanwhile, I'm just going to TP into the mid. Yeah, I've really got... No, maybe... Never mind. Yeah, I'm not going to TP into the mid because someone else is already going there. Going to TP to the top and continue my eventual goal of trying to push this tower. Axe just harassing the Mirana back a little bit more, and I'm going to throw out a heal just as soon as possible. I have full mana, and with the Bassi, I regenerated it pretty quickly, so just using one like that when he was a little bit hurt, and just to push the wave a little bit faster, and get myself a little bit of gold. I'd like to pick up a magic stick or TP or something up here. Oh, and I guess I had a clarity on me, or maybe he clarity me. I can't tell, actually. I don't remember. Anyway, there's going to be TP in here, but we've got full health and my ult and his stuff, so we're going to try to go on it. He throws out a Battle Hunger first, and I throw out Poison Touch. Going to get a weave that hits Axe and both the enemy heroes. Just hitting the enemy heroes here is the most important part. Do we finish that one off, and I see that I'm being attacked by the Mirana, so I'm going to throw out Shallow Grave, and then I'm going to run her into the creeps there, and then throw out a Healing Wave. I realized there that there was no way whatsoever that I could, if I kept running, she would obviously just chase me down and kill me once the Shallow Grave wore off, so my best hope was to run into the creeps and throw out a Healing Wave. With obviously being next to the creeps, it would make it so that the Healing Wave did more, and maybe she would get attacked by the creeps. And that's exactly what happened, and we were able to get a kill, thanks to Axe actually fighting with me. And now I'm just going to TP back to base. I could buy a magic stick here, but I can probably just pick them back up in base, which I imagine is what I'm going to do. Finish it off just to save myself some space. Get a new set of wards, and then probably some TPs. Yep. Yeah. Whenever you have the opportunity to, buying 2 TPs instead of 1 is obviously nice, because then you can TP to a lane and be safe to have the TP later when you need to go help somewhere else. I don't really understand how Axe died top. I wasn't watching. I'm sure someone watched it on the minimap. I was paying attention myself, you know, because I'm a very egocentric person. But yeah, I can't see how he could possibly have died there. He was well within the range of ward coverage, and the Pudge couldn't have come from the side or the lane. It's possible the Pudge was either smoked or had an invis rune. That would really be the only thing I could think. Didn't look like he had haste at the end there. So I'm going to try to deny this tower, and do manage to get it, although I do get swapped. I'm going to throw out Shallow Grave as soon as I can, yeah, and then basically try the same thing I did last time, which is the healing wave, but I realize it's not going to do as much as possible, so I'm just going to throw out a Poison Touch on the Vengeful Spirit before I die, hoping that someone TPs it and follows up, as well as a Weave to reduce their armor for the follow-up TP. And Poison Touch is actually enough to get me the kill, along with the Battle Hunger, and meanwhile Axe is going to chase after Mirana. Saw the Weave was still going, but it's going to be off by now, but Axe is actually going to be quite ballsy and just keep chasing down this Mirana. Probably shouldn't be doing this at this point, but it could still work out well for him. Meanwhile, Pudge actually picks up a kill bottom on the Ancient Apparition, who I think has died a lot of times. And yeah, I'm back again. I don't really have anything else to buy, so just, I think, gonna TP somewhere, maybe. Yeah, it looks like the Axe actually does get the kill after all, chasing after Mirana. Really shouldn't have happened. I'm pretty sure that Mirana should have been able to get away, or some team should have been able to help, but yeah. Well, it can't hurt. You'll notice a couple times I'm pausing, not doing anything like the camera was just sitting there. It's because I've kind of been sick lately, and so I was probably just blowing my nose or something. Sorry about that. That's actually why I haven't posted a video sooner. And being sick sucks, wintertime, etc. Looks like they're going to go after the Barra here, but probably not going to catch him. Maybe one more Blink Strike will be enough. But no, it's not actually going to be. Windrunner's throwing out a really strange shackle there. This Windrunner is a pretty decent player, I guess, but some really questionable shackles. The Vengeful Spirit's still just here by himself now, I think, so I would like to have kind of dived in, but then I realized we didn't have the creep support, so I'm going to wait for the creep support and then try to loop around. Also, I have one more ward to place, so I'd like to kind of place a tower ward here to see if they're TPing in and what backup they have. See the Pudge TP in, which is kind of risky, but yeah, hooked misses. I'm just going to try to go diagonal rather than straight back to decrease the chances of him hitting me. See him going there after the Ricky. Ricky is invis, but my team's helping. Unfortunately, the Pudge is hasted, so it's going to be hard for us to catch him, but if we can induce him into fighting. Yeah, the shackle shot there, can't really blame him too much for that one. Hasted Pudge, it's hard to shackle to a tree. I could understand his intention. See them coming in here. Gonna try to, oh yeah, get to the Shallow Grave on the Ancient Apparition, but he gets hooked just a little bit outside the range. Still would like to fight here if possible. Have all my mana and all my abilities, so it would be a decent fight. Looks like Axe and Ricky are going to go in on someone. Ricky's going to get hooked over. I tried the Shallow Grave there as well. I should have actually thrown the heal first since there's a longer range, and then I probably would have been able to save his life, but it didn't work out anyway. So I'm just going to Poison Touch him and throw out the Weave on all of us, hoping that if the fight continues, the Weave will have a pretty large effect. Shallow Grave once I get the chance. Going to throw out a Healing Wave and then another Poison Touch. I understand that I'm going to die, but the Poison Touch should kill him after I die. Unfortunately, the Spirit Breaker is in here beating on the Axe now. But we did get a couple kills, so I mean, I guess not the worst thing ever. Maybe the Axe is going to get away, but no, probably not. Yeah, Spirit Breaker finishes him off. If you look at Spirit Breaker, already has a Sange treads, so obviously farmed quite well in the tri-lane, but I guess that's what you'd expect. So yeah, a little bit of a misplay there, not healing waving before the Shallow Grave, but your instinct when someone's about to die is just to try to Shallow Grave right away, because that's obviously the most important thing. And, you know, if you get the Shallow Grave off the healing wave, it doesn't really matter anyway. But I guess I've said I've played Dazzle a few times, but I'm still not quite used to how short the range in Shallow Grave is. Anyway, here I would like to go on the Mirana with the Ricky. I'm sure the two of us can kill him together, but the Mirana is smart enough to TP away, or to move away. I asked the Ricky to follow, but yeah, the Mirana's moving away far too much, and it's just a waste of time, so now the Ricky should probably just go back to farming. And I'm just going to stay here and try to grab experience. So obviously just went magic. I mean, basically all my starting items were self-explanatory, except the Bassi, which I said I was just getting for pushing. Now I'm working on just making a bracer. I'd just like to have a little bit more health, you know, against a Pudge and such. It's just nice to have a little more health. And then it's not necessarily that I plan on turning the bracer into drums, but just having the bracer would be good. And then, you know, drums can't hurt. They're a pretty cheap and easy item to make, and they certainly help a team out. Being a support here, it's always good to grab one if you can. And it's convenient since, like I said, bracer's an easy item to make. I'm gonna actually stack and pull this just because I can. The lane's pushed up a little bit, and stacking and pulling this will make it easier for Ricky to farm back, hopefully on our side of the river. Don't actually have any wards up here though, which I realize is kind of bad right now. I should have wards on me. Maybe a little bit preemptive to start working on that bracer. Maybe I should have just gotten some wards instead, probably. So that's a little bit of a mistake. But anyway, just going to pull this and kind of hang back while maybe pick off a kill or two if I can. Although meanwhile, actually fighting is going on bottom. even Ricky. Yeah, actually Ricky heading mid and some stuff going bottom. I'm always a little bit anxious about just TPing in though when around towers. When they have a Mirana and a Pudge, it's pretty easy for a TP to set up an easy hook or an arrow. So there's not too much I can do about it there, so I'm just going to hang around these creeps. But now I'm actually going to TP to this tower, hoping to catch them from behind, thinking my team was going to fight. But when I realized that my team's not fighting and that I could get caught off by myself, I'm going to turn back around. So anyway, back to my skill build. I haven't talked about that in a little bit. Well, I mentioned earlier on basically what I was planning on doing. Yeah, here I'm trying to pick up some wards, and maybe the wards were off cooldown, and so I just finished my bracer. I'm not sure exactly, I couldn't tell. Maybe there were just no wards. As you can see, Pudge did go up to that spot where I said I warded earlier because Pudges like to go, so obviously that would be proving to me why it would have been good to have that spot warded. But yeah, skill build, just maxing Healing Wave second. Healing Wave is my main ability in most team fights, I guess, in the mid game. Just the big life difference it creates by healing and dealing damage. I want it to heal as many people as possible and do as much damage. Pick up the Invis Rune, and then I want the Axe actually to run towards me, because I could easily Shallow Grave him. We could turn this fight around. The Axe chooses instead to run the other direction, so I'm just going to try to pick off this Crystal Maiden. Unfortunately, there are a few too many people there. I should have actually turned around one auto attack before that, but I wanted to make sure I got the kill. Here I throw off the Shallow Grave really early, because they have a stun combination between the VS stun and the Priestess of the Moon stun, and I don't want to get stun locked and die without being able to Shallow Grave. Do set up a little bit of damage to them, and the Windrunner fortunately is able to set up a nice power shot from the river to help out. So yeah, if Axe had just paid attention and run towards the river, that would have been certainly different because he would have been in front of me and I would have been able to support him from behind, which is really how you want to be doing it as Dazzle. You certainly don't want to be up in the front lines. You want to be, throwing support out from behind. Weave has a huge range. Healing Wave has decent range. And, I mean, the other two things are kind of shorter, but still. I was going to say, oh yeah, I guess I didn't really mention, I just kind of said that getting Poison Touch first is best. Well, really, it's just best because it's good. I don't know, teams should have stuns. And it gives you a stun. And it's kind of your disable in team fights, which is maybe the most important thing for support heroes to do in the early game, is just having stuns to set up ganks or to turn ganks is important. And then in the mid-ish game, when it's more likely to be team fights, having the Healing Wave, which is a strong team fight ability, and less of a ganking ability is more important. Speaking of ganks, Pudge kind of caught out here. Yeah, Axe gonna taunt. Ancient Apparition ult gonna, nicely fly in. Want to throw out the Poison Touch on him just to guarantee the kill, which I do manage to do, and yeah, it's gonna be it. After maxing Healing Wave, I'm now going to start putting points in Shallow Grave. We only get 3 points in Poison Touch, ever. Generally speaking, I mean, it's just the best case, because the 4th level of healing or Poison Touch doesn't really add anything, just a little bit extra damage. The duration stays the same, and it doesn't make it the stun happen any faster. It doesn't actually add to the stun or anything. All it does is just add a little bit of extra damage per second, which really isn't the most important thing ever. Just having well, obviously having more heal and more people healed on the Healing Wave and more damage is better. And then even just having a shorter cooldown on Shallow Grave, which is easily your, I don't know, I mean, it's the reason you picked Dazzle, basically. Not really the reason, but it's one of the main reasons. The other, I would say, if I had to say the 2 reasons you picked Dazzle, it's because of Shallow Grave and Weave. Even though those the abilities were leveling last, it's because, well, I don't know, you just need 1 point in Shallow Grave. And then Weave, because Weave is just, it gets insane as the game progresses. Yeah, I knew there was a rune here and I wanted to go grab it. Not a lot I can do, though, because this guy has haste. Fortunately, Windrunner is kind enough to help me out. Don't need to Shallow Grave here. It's important to kind of always wait as long as possible to Shallow Grave. Like I said, there was that one time where I used it a bit early because I didn't want to get double stunned to death and not have a chance to react at all. But other than that, yeah, just using it as early as, or as late as possible is, because it's going to keep the person alive as long as possible at 1 health. As far as where I place those wards, again, just kind of keeping Rune Vision is helpful. Being able to grab that haste before the opposing team would have been nice, and keeping Vision of Roche, obviously, is quite nice. And speaking of Vision, actually see them coming through here, so we should be able to set up a counter gank. I'm a little bit low, but as long as I just stay in the back and support, it should be fine. Yeah, unfortunately I see that hook, but thankfully it doesn't go in the Ancient Apparition. Don't need to actually, I was going to Shallow Grave the Ancient Apparition, but he's actually in the back now, so that's not my highest priority. My highest priority was to get off a big Weave, which I did, and then I'm just going to basically try Poison Touching people. Healing Wave not so much here, because no, we're not standing and fighting. Healing Wave's more of a actual standing and fighting team fights. Here I'm going to want to be Poison Touching, because that's what we're doing. We're chasing after people instead and trying to win broken fights. or worrying about shallow graving if they try to turn on someone. Pudge not actually going to get away there, and Crystal Maiden, yeah, going to go down as well. Unfortunately, people messaging me on Steam. I don't know. I should actually spend the time to look up how to turn off notifications one of these days. I know it's pretty unprofessional to have interruptions in the middle of a cast, and I want to tell this person to shut up now, but I don't want them, or I don't want to spend any more time talking about it than necessary. Although I already have kind of dwelled on it. But yeah, I was talking about why weave is so important. I mean, it just has a huge area of effect, and such a big armor difference can just really change mid to late game fights completely around. It's a really subtle thing, which also makes it more powerful, I would say, because people aren't really thinking, like, when you're throwing big flashy spells at them constantly, people are like, ah, shit, I'm getting nuked. But here, they're not really watching their armor numbers. It just drops, or as they're focusing down someone they think they should be killing faster, whose armor is at like 20. Obviously not as relevant early on, because, well, people are more using spells than auto attacks, but later in the game, when auto attacks are the primary source of damage, weave is just huge. So that's why I love Dazzle. He's really a great support hero at any point in the game, although most support heroes are. Crystal Maiden being one of the few that I think doesn't really scale very well at all. But, even like Vengeful Spirit, who's in support on the opposing team, that swap is just so nice. It's actually one of, I don't know, it could even be better than weave, although that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but not to be underestimated. Or overestimate the weave. Yeah, see the double damage here. I want one of my teammates to pick it up, maybe to set something up here. There's actually only 2 of them that we see, and we have vision, so it wouldn't be terrible to fight here since we have 4. But, yeah, not going to happen anyway. It was kind of a bad position to be in. Just gonna, again, I have basically full mana thanks to mana boots from this Windrunner, so I can just spam out. Yeah, the Pudge actually trying to catch us here, so I'm gonna run into the woods, throw out a weave, hits both the enemies and 2 of us, so that should make this a pretty favorable fight for us. I actually would like to shallow grave the Windrunner, but he's too far away and there's no way I can run through all of this. So just throwing out healing waves and auto attacking basically as much as possible. Like I said, with the weave on someone, my auto attacks are actually gonna do a lot of damage. And then, yeah, we're going to chase down and take the Spirit Breaker as well. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get I wasn't able to save the Windrunner's life, but like I said, there was just no way for me to get to him. On a good team with coordination, you would, as a player in a team fight, you would try to always pay attention to where the Dazzle is, and if you're close to death, instead of running away from the Dazzle, you would run towards the Dazzle, but I certainly don't really expect that in a situation like this, or in a game like this, so, I mean, it's not really his fault. But it's not really mine either. Maybe if I had a Force Staff, I could have Force Staff for the trees to him, but anyway. So I finish off Treads, just nice to have for a little extra health. Strangely enough, the Mirana is actually waiting in the trees there. There was a chance we could have caught her, but it didn't really work out. So instead, I'm just going to push this tower. Although the Axe is Ramboing in there, I don't even know why he would be doing that. It doesn't make any sense. So just going to take this tower and then back off. Kind of risky with the courier there, but oh well. I actually end up getting the tower. Oh yeah, and then Ancient Apparition gets swapped. I want to make it to the Ancient Apparition now to throw up a Shallow Grave because it's likely he's going to get killed, and I do actually manage to Shallow Grave him, and then I'm going to run away because I assume we're fine. I actually forget that they have a Spirit Breaker, which is kind of something easy to forget because teams don't usually play Spirit Breaker very often. So I'm just going to TP out now, not thinking anything of it. And then I see, yeah, the Spirit Breaker running in to get to our Ancient Apparition. Unfortunately, the Ancient Apparition dies before I could get to him. Well, the Shallow Grave's on cooldown still anyway, so I couldn't do anything. Gonna throw out the Poison Touch here. I think the timing is good enough that it should hit, yeah, just after the Cold Feet wears off, so he gets stunned right when he gets out of the stun. It's very easy for Ricky to kill him, constantly backstabbing, so it works out anyway. Happy to trade the Ancient Apparition's death for a Spirit Breaker kill. I pinged that there was a rune here, but the only person nearby was Ricky, and obviously Ricky doesn't need to pick it up, so I'm going to instead. And then maybe we can set something up here on these 2 heroes. Yeah, so like I said, just getting Treads just for a little bit extra movement speed and for the health. Mana Boots would have been fine, but I think there's already 1 or 2 Mana Boots on my team, so I didn't feel necessary to pick up 1 more. And, attacking faster isn't irrelevant, like I said, with Weave. So the Treads are fine. Phase Boots not really that important. I mean, although they would have been alright, I guess, for running in and starting a gank on someone. But anyway, yeah, so we're just going to follow them here. If 1 more person comes, we can easily turn this as a 3 versus 2, but they're going to actually start to run away now, so with the Pudge far enough ahead, I can go, yeah, we can go on the Mirana. I throw out the Shallow Grave there, not because I thought the guy was about to die, but because I wanted him to not be a pussy and to fight the Pudge. Pretty sure he had double damage, although maybe not. Maybe it was just an effect that I saw from something else. But yeah, I would have liked, I mean, we had teammates coming, and with me there's no way the Pudge is going to kill him, which is, you know, like I said, in a coordinated team effort, something people would realize, but in something like this, maybe he doesn't want to take for granted the fact that I would keep him alive, so he's going to run away, and that's why I want to show him that he can't stay, because I would keep him alive by shallow graving him, even though it's early, like I said, I would normally avoid. So like I said, I already have the bracers, and I've just got a little bit of money, so I'm going to pick up drums. Ancient Apparition running in there is just, who knows what he's doing. Although this guy, I mean, maybe it's a good thing after all that he didn't solo mid, because based on what I've seen from his play, even the Ricky, who I don't feel that he won his mid, was probably better than this guy would have been anyway. So yeah, picked up the drums now. I placed a ward to give us vision, you know, in that rune spot and of Roche, but unfortunately it was countered immediately, which meant that they had a sentry there. I think I saw the sentry disappear as I was placing the ward, which I thought meant that it would be safe to place it, but I guess it maybe was just a graphical bug and the sentry was still there or something. Or maybe, like, I'm asking now, they have a gem, which is what I'm wondering. So I am still going to place another ward here, but it's important to know that I don't just go place it in the same spot. I place it somewhere else across the river. And yeah, I'm going to click and see if he has sentries or the gem. What that means, the fact that he's standing there, means that their ward saw me place that, which is unfortunate because it means they'll try to counter it, but it's very important that I keep a ward with vision of Roshan at this point in the game. Obviously, letting them take out Roche would be bad. Yeah, actually being a little bit careless there. Pudge could have hooked me, but unfortunately he hooks a creep instead, so I'm fine. And would like to set up a fight here. Get stun first, and I'm kind of in a bad position, so I just throw out the Shallow Grave on myself to make sure that I'll be fine, and then throw out a Weave. Basically hitting as many people as possible. Nice Shackle Shot from the Windrunner there. And we're going to easily pick up this Vengeful Spirit, and as well as the Crystal Maiden, yeah, because there's no way she's going to be away from the axe. So a little 2-for-0. Again, I was talking earlier about why it's best not to Shallow Grave too early, and then basically 2 situations in a row where I've done that. But there, like, I mean, I'm in the middle of 3 or 4 heroes in the enemy team. I could die easily in 1 second by being stun locked or without ever having control again. So I don't want to take any chances, and I'd rather just guarantee that I can keep myself alive for 5 seconds and help my teammates out, even if it means that Shallow Grave is going to be on cooldown for a little bit. But with level 4 in it, it should be off cooldown again pretty soon, so it's even easier for me to make that decision at this point. You'll notice I didn't put the 4th point in Poison Touch. You could maybe say that it would be better to do that, but at this point in the game, at 30 minutes, that little bit of extra spell damage is going to be pretty irrelevant, I think, anyway. So I would rather just have the 2 points in all the stats, which, not extremely relevant, but yeah, just a little bit more of everything can't hurt. I'd like to take Roche really quick. We have vision, and they're pushed back in the mid lane at least, not really so much in the bottom lane, but without Ricky, we're unfortunately not going to be able to take this very quickly. He's coming here now, but I just saw them disappear from the mid lane, so I would imagine they know what's going on, and they're going to try coming here as well. And if they do come, there's not a lot we can do. Unfortunately, I don't have a sentry, which means they could Mirana ult in. Thankfully, they weren't intelligent enough to do that, because then we would have actually maybe been in a lot of trouble if they'd cut us out. We obviously don't want to run up that hill after them, because that puts them in a great spot. Axe is going to get hooked in. I'm not going to Shallow Grave. Nope, I am going to Shallow Grave. Okay. Well, just wanted to make sure that I kept him alive while I was throwing out my other abilities. Throw out a nice weave there on on 4 of the 5 heroes on the other team. So we should have had a reasonable chance to fight there. But I guess my teammates are pretty low. Yeah. Which is what I'm looking at now. I was about to type out. I got Shallow Grave on 4 enemy, or on Weave on 4 enemy heroes. We better fucking fight. Sorry for the cussing. But I looked and saw that 2 of them were at half health, so I kind of understood, I guess. So I'm just saying that they need to at least be careful and not let the other team take Roche. But it looks like they're going to push mid tower instead, which is fine with me. Unfortunately, yeah, quite a long time that I'm going to be dead, and I'm not going to really think about buying back here just for a tier 2 tower. I'd rather just save the money. Although, again, support money not the most important thing in the world, but with who knows what my team's doing anyway. I think they're still all at half health anyway, so if they couldn't fight there with a weave on 4 people, no, I guess the Ricky did go heal. And Axe is relying on his Tranquil Boots to heal him. I think Tranquil Boots are a good choice on Axe if you're jungling, but he was in the lane, but I guess maybe he went into the jungle afterwards, so that's fine. Have a lot of money here, so I'd like to think about what I'm going to buy next, but don't really have a lot of time right now. I just want to make sure that I make to Roche before they get there in case they're trying to do it. Yeah, I'd like my whole team to come this time. And so yeah, just not a lot of time to think about what exactly I'm going to get next. So Force Staff would be a pretty good choice, actually. With a Pudge on the other team, being able to Force Staff people is pretty important. Also to kite a Spirit Breaker, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Force Staff's just a great item. but I think at the same time I've never done an Aghanims on Dazzle, and I've heard it's pretty good, so I'd kind of like to try that out as well. Anyway, just going to come back and take Roche again. I kind of want us to be tanking it so that Ricky can hit it from behind, but that doesn't seem to be happening. Just going to throw out a heal there to kind of heal Ricky up. Fortunately, the cold feet on Roche is going to make it kind of easy. Though when he was cold feeted up would have been the best time for Ricky to hit from behind. But anyway, take Roche and get Ricky and Aegis. Did lose the middle tower, but it's not the worst thing ever. I mean, Aegis is so important at this point. It can completely decide a team fight. Although, on a Ricky player, I'm not so sure, because most Ricky players are usually just going to run away when they're at low health anyway. I have a lot of wards now, since it's been a little while since I placed them, unfortunately. So I'm going to kind of be easy to throw out a bunch of them. And actually, do pick off the Spirit Breaker. This is why I placed this ward, generally to catch someone on their team who's doing the Ancients. Yeah, I was thinking about the Weave there, in case it was hard enough for us to kill the Spirit Breaker, but it wasn't that difficult, so we didn't really need to, or so I didn't, I held back on the Weave. But yeah, as I was saying, the ward on our side, again, I explained why I placed that one earlier, especially against a Pudge, and just in case they tried ganking our jungle, or setting up pushes mid lane. And then the one I placed at their Ancients is just to have vision. If it's very likely that at this point in the game, someone on their team is going to be taking their Ancients, so having the vision there is going to make it easy to get a pick off, just like there. And then I place this one up on the hill, just because we're pushing mid, and if we push mid again after this, it'll give us vision if Pudge tries to set up there and get a hook. That's pretty much the whole purpose for it. I see Axe running in throughout the weave. Hit a few of their heroes, which isn't too bad. I'm kind of out of position now, though, because everyone backed up. So I'm going to Shallow Grave myself and pray like the devil to survive. I throw out the Drums charge on my team because I assume I'm going to be dying pretty soon, and I would like to have made as big of an impact as possible before dying. I do end up dying. I had nothing left to use, though, so there wasn't a lot I could do. Kind of an overplay there, and Ricky actually does die with the Aegis in here. I'm actually kind of confused. Yeah, Windrunner has basically full health and... well, full enough health and mana for all her abilities, so I don't really understand why she's running away. Two on the other team are dead, so at worst it would be a 3 versus 3. Ancient Apparition's at half health, but I'm sure at least one person on the other team was at half health, so there's really no reason for them to be backing up there. I felt that it was pretty stupid. You know, I was saying the Aegis is really important, but when you just waste an Aegis like that, it's not so important. Partially my fault for being out of position there, but I wanted to support the Axe. But I guess the Axe was just a little bit too Rambo, and maybe I should have just accepted the fact that his Rambo-ness was going to lead to his death, and not done anything about it. Speaking of Force Staff, Windrunner does have a Force Staff, although she's had that for a while, and now she's going for a Oblivion's, it looks like. Yeah. You can see that I'm maybe venting a little bit on this Windrunner. Generally, I try to avoid raging too much, but I said this was, I think, at the end of a long string of games where I had been pretty disappointed by my team, so... maybe, I don't know, directing my rage at the wrong person. Although, like I said, I've seen a fair amount of shackle shots from this Windrunner in the early game that were really questionable. Although, in the later game, her shackle shots, well, his as the players, hers as the heroes, have been pretty spot on. So, not a ton to complain about. Certainly not my biggest complaint on the team, which would probably be the Axe. Although, I mean, he's getting pretty good farm now, and he's going to have a reasonable impact on this game. But, his decision making early on, and even up to this point, is still kind of questionable. As far as why we're back in this game, I mean, it's 28-30. I would say that it's even, if not we're ahead. Even's probably a fair assessment, although we might have a tidy advantage. We're up one tower, and we've done a little bit of tower to their mid, or a little bit of damage to their mid base tower, but that's not a lot. So I would say it's relatively even. But I don't know, having Dazzle as a support is pretty nice going later into the game. Yeah, I'm actually kind of not paying attention here, and then I realize, oh yeah, I'm getting just spam a heal on him. Yeah, I actually want to send my illusions here, not myself, so yeah, I try sending them to scout because I know the other team is running through here, but unfortunately I grouped everyone as one, so when I'm trying to control myself, it's not really working. Yeah, I see the Ancient Apparition get hooked here, so I'm going to throw a Shallow Grave out on him, get a nice weave on 3 of the enemy team here, so this should lead to a pretty good fight if it gets extended. Like, obviously, you just want the fight to go as long as possible when you weave the enemy team, because the longer it goes, the bigger the advantage you're going to have. And it looks like it's working out pretty well. Unfortunately, the Ancient Apparition did end up dying, but not a lot I can do about that. And gonna kind of chase after... oh, no. Gonna actually get hooked out. Throw out the Shallow Grave on myself to save myself. A great shackle shot there from the Windrunner, which is what I was talking about. I actually want to run back this way, and then I realize, oh crap, we're on illusions. Oh, I'm screwed whichever way I go. Maybe I should have just kept running that way, although I was pretty sure I would have died. But this way, I'm definitely likely to die as well. Although maybe it'll lead to a kill, but no, not so much. Although, I don't really know what Axe is doing down here. I don't know, he sees creeps. Maybe he's trying to cut them off. I don't know exactly, although it's a bit risky sending the courier across like that. But yeah, like I was saying, so we were down early, and now I would say it's pretty much even. A lot of that does come down to wards, although the other team's warding too, so that's not so much that. I don't know. I think Dazzle's a pretty big impact hero. Spirit Breaker's just kind of useless. Nice shackle shot again, latching 2 heroes. So yeah, like I said, complained about the shackle shots early. Certainly not complaining about the shackle shots anymore. She's had some great ones, and I don't know. I mean, I think we just have stronger heroes than the other team by a little bit. Windrunner's just a ridiculous hero, as you've seen. The shackle shots are just so huge. If she latches 2 heroes, that's 7 seconds of disable, which I've mentioned in other commentaries too. I don't know. Well, maybe it's unfair to say that we have better heroes because I don't think Axe is an amazing hero, but Ricky's pretty good. I don't know. Also, just team fighting. We definitely have better team fight than the other team does. Like I said, Dazzle is a huge impact on team fights. And I mean, Smoke is really great. They don't have a ton of team fight presence. Most of their abilities lend themselves to picking off, which is, I guess, why they had good lanes. And yeah, we're doing good ganks. Action going on in the middle now. I'm going to try to make it there as quickly as possible. Just looks like the Spirit Breaker should probably go down, which would be good for us. Unfortunately, the Ancient Apparition's running right there, but I guess he was running away from the Pudge, so yeah, the Pudge gets him anyway. But Spirit Breaker for Ancient Apparition I'm perfectly happy with. Yeah, I do ping there a little bit because I thought that maybe the Mirana had been really low from Battle Hunger sticking down, and that was her running back across, but no, there's the real Mirana. Actually, no wards up on the map right now, but I think there's a decent chance the other team has a gem for the Ricky, which does make warding kind of a pain. But we've got a lot of creeps now, and we've traded an Ancient Apparition for a Spirit Breaker, so I'm perfectly happy trying to push in here. I wish the Ricky... actually gonna see a hook out on the Windrunner. Want to throw the Shallow Grave out, but looks like she's fine, but I do it anyway just to be safe. Meanwhile, Axe is kind of rambling in, but that's fine here because I guess that's what we want to do. Good that he's trying to man up on the other team. And we do get a kill from it. Although Ricky gets hooked back out, I want to throw the Shallow Grave on him, and I keep trying to click on it, but since he has the BKB up, it actually does not allow me to Shallow Grave him. And because I click it twice, because I assumed that it just didn't work, or didn't register the first time, because I double click it, it actually throws the Shallow Grave up on me. Meanwhile, Axe gets pulled back in. I throw the Shallow Grave, just try to keep him alive, and yeah, now it's time for us to get the hell out of here. Yeah, you'll just have to excuse me for a sec. I can't pause the recording because then messes up the sync, but I really do have to blow my nose. So there's going to be 2 seconds of dead air. I apologize for that. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm a little bit sick and not a lot I can do about it. Just taking a sip of water. Spirit Breaker actually running in here. My first instinct is to throw the Shallow Grave, but I realize I don't have a lot of mana, so don't necessarily want to do that. I'm going to throw out the Poison Touch first, and then I'd like to throw a Healing Wave because there's a lot of creeps around, yeah. So that's going to work out pretty well. I'm just going to keep DPSing down this Spirit Breaker as much as possible. And I do have enough mana for another ability now, were anything to happen. I'm actually just going to run back to base, and because I want to explain myself to the Stealth Assassin now about why I didn't grave him, but then I realized that, ooh, teamfight actually is happening on the mini-map, so I guess talking can wait, and I run in here to try to help out. Grave the Windrunner just when it looks like she might be about to die. Throw out a Poison Touch here on the Mirana to help us try to chase her down. Unfortunately, she does Manta it off, but she's going to die anyway, thanks to the taunt from the Axe. Now I can get back to actually typing out what I was saying to him, which is just explaining how I kind of messed up there, which it certainly was a mistake on my part, actually, because BKB wore out about a second later, and that led to me, I would have been able to Shallow Grave him. It's just, I haven't, honestly, I've played, what, I think like 170 games of Dota 2 at this point, which is a fair amount, and I've played a lot of Dota 1, but, I don't know, some interactions you just don't remember until you've done them a few times. Yeah, I'm thinking about what to buy now, and I'm like, maybe Aghanims would be interesting. But yeah, so just wasn't familiar with that interaction of BKB and Shallow Grave, because some beneficial abilities you can cast on people with BKB and some you can't, so I guess Shallow Grave is one of the ones you can't. And if I'd known that, I would have just waited until the BKB was off or something else. Would have just thrown out the Healing Touch first and then waited for the BKB, but I didn't, and I didn't realize what had happened the first time I messed up, so I just double-clicked it, and that's why it happened. They're all dead, so I'd like to come take Roche. I have wards, so I can throw up. Yeah, Axe actually marked the time of when Roche died, so there's really no chance for us to push because the waves were too pushed out. I don't want to get caught mid and killed. I'd rather You know, it's kind of like playing an econ game in StarCraft. I'd rather take a little bit more of an advantage before trying to win rather than just pushing my luck and turning the game over. We do have an advantage now, certainly, but I'd rather have it be more of an advantage. Uh, so I'm going to throw out some offensive wards, hopefully leading to us being able to get a pickoff, and we can turn that into a kill. A pickoff, turn that into a kill. Sorry, yeah, my nose is really bothering me right now, which is why I'm kind of talking nonsense. Speaking of pickoffs, though, do see the Spirit Breaker down here. It's a nice long shackle shot, actually. Unfortunately, I don't have dust for the Marauder ult, which is certainly my fault. I should, as the support hero. I was just carrying a lot of stuff before. All my slots are full, but now with this much space up, I should have dust or counter wards. I should certainly have counter wards. I actually do get hooked by just charging forward. Hopefully, I'll be able to shallow grave myself in time. And yeah, I do manage, and then I'm just going to try to throw out a weave first, as usual. That's always the most important thing, and then throw out a healing wave. Try to keep myself alive, which just barely happens thanks to running up the hill. And now I'm just going to run away. There's no reason to risk it going back in when they have a Spirit Breaker, even if I do have Shallow Grave. Just going to run back to base and go pick up my point booster on the way for my Aghanims. I'm not sure Aghanims is necessarily the most important thing, or necessarily the best pickup here, but I don't have it actually. I've never used Aghanims on Dazzle before. I mean, I've just basically, most games I play with Dazzle, they're over by this point. I never have this much gold. I'm always playing support and not sealing last hits usually very much, etc. So I just like to see what Aghanims is like on him. So I'm gonna do that and just see how big it makes the ult, because you know it says it makes it big, but how big is big? And I'm going to find out it is quite big. That's what she said. I can't believe that's what she said it to myself while commenting. That's kind of embarrassing. If I could edit that out, I would. Anyway, I see a lot of creeps here, so I kind of want to just push this back, even though it is a bit risky to be here by myself when we can't really see exactly where they are on the map. But Spirit Breaker's dead, so I should be okay. I'm just going to push this creep wave back. I had planned on heading back to base, but it was just such a big creep wave, and I just want to get my Aghanims, you know, so I couldn't resist. Because I figure there's a decent chance we might be ending the game pretty soon, and I'd like to try out the Aghanims before we do. Not that I think we have a huge advantage, but, you know, the game's been turning more and more into our favor, so it seems likely that that trend is going to continue, and I think we definitely have a better late game than the opposing team, with our Riki being, well, I don't know, they have Marana and Spirit Breaker, both aren't too bad late game, but we have Dazzle, you know, Dazzle. So you'll notice I actually do have my drums with no charges left. I would have liked to say more often when I was using drums. Basically just anytime I thought there was a team fight or us needing to chase, or basically, yeah, if I was ever about to die in a team fight, I would always use them beforehand. So they are out of charges now, and I think keeping the charges on the drums is pretty important. It might even be more important than finishing the Aghanims here, although I'm not so sure. But like I said, I'm really curious about the Aghanims, and curiosity is definitely one of my big weaknesses as a human being. In Dota, it's greed, and in life and Dota, it's definitely curiosity. So I want to see how the Aghanims works out, and that means I'm going to basically rush straight towards it. The courier is finally back at base, so I can send that to myself now. We should maybe already be pushing in, although we are missing the Ancient Apparition, but maybe he's just standing further away so he can guarantee big ult, which is reasonable. So I'm kind of stalling almost a little bit. Yeah, I'm even saying 1 sec. Just because I really want to get Magnums, although Windrunner does force staff forward the axe trying to catch someone, but it doesn't really work out. So fortunately, more time, Courier's getting closer and closer. I want to see this huge weave. Making sure that it's sending it to me, not to someone else, whoever has that Hyperstone, assumably axe for an Assault Curious. And yeah, Aghanims is finished. So yeah, right there you can see I'm just trying to test to see how big exactly it's going to look, and it is quite large. Do manage to get hooked in my only paying attention to myself, but it's okay because I can just Shallow Grave myself and then get off a huge weave. Hits 4 of them and maybe 3 of us, so that should turn this fight pretty well. Fortunately, the weave is not on the Spirit Breaker, which is an important target, but oh well, yeah, it'll be okay. We already picked off the Marana and the Pudge and only lost the Ancient Apparition, so we can just keep pushing the tower. Axe is actually in a little bit deep, but that's kind of what Axe likes to do. He goes balls deep. So we're just going to keep pushing this tower, use Healing Wave to nuke down the creeps and keep ours up and continue pressuring the tower. And yeah, if you notice, the weave just wore off, actually. So not only is the radius huge, but the duration is awesome, which means you can almost permanently keep weave up, which is just great. And makes it really easy to hit a lot of heroes, which is just going to get, it's like, I don't know, having a Desolator plus tons of Rings of Basilius constantly, which just makes it an awesome ability. Not that it's not an awesome ability without the Aghanims. I'm not sure still that would mean that I would say that the Aghanims was the perfect choice here, but I liked it.
And it certainly, I wouldn't say it was a wrong choice by any stretch of the imagination. I could maybe be sending myself a drums recipe to refill that now, but we're just going to take 2 racks by winning a team fight. I would imagine they should have had buyback money, but maybe, I don't know, this is a pub game. People don't normally pay attention to keeping buyback money, but this shows the importance of having buybacks, because honestly, it was just a 2-for-1, which isn't like a dominant team fight victory by any stretch of the imagination. So they should have been able to buy back and defend, but I guess they've just decided this game's over, we've won. Although we're only up 43 to 33, or 44 to 34. Yeah, I'm good at counting. So I don't really know that it's that one-sided, but I guess it's just kind of been the momentum with the way the game's going, and pubs are usually really looking forward to calling game over. See, able to get a huge weave on a ton of the heroes on the enemy team, and I think it even goes through BKB, so I think it's still ticking, yeah, on that Spirit Breaker, which is just awesome. It just makes an awesome ability. So I just keep right-clicking him, being like, yeah, I'm hitting for so much damage because it's armor reduction. Not even bothering to help my team use other abilities or anything like that. And we do get a kill, and now I'd kind of like to go finish the game. I mean, Dazzle makes for some pretty easy fountain dives, and I see my team doing it, and there's always the allure of the fountain dive. And I'm not saying that I want to avoid the fountain dive because I think there's a risk to it in this case. With all 3 racks down mega groups, there's no risk. But I hate the people who just sit there and instead of winning the game, constantly keep diving your fountain. Now, I don't mind getting a little bit. I mean, if someone runs out like this, they deserve to die. But other than that, I'm generally going to try and do my best to keep attacking the fountain. You know, this Marauder, she ran out. She deserves it too. But now I'm just going to turn back around. Basically, any opportunity I have here to throw out another weave is just awesome because, yeah, I have an Aghanim Scepter ultimate, and it's really satisfying to use. And hopefully I'm eventually going to stop. I realize that the Ancient's about to die, so I'm just going to dick around by running in here and shell graving myself. That wasn't for any kills. It was just to be in a cool spot when the game ends, you know, classic Dota 1 style. And that's victory. So, yeah, fortunately we were able to turn around what I considered a very bad early game into a much more successful late game. In large part thanks to Dazzle and some nice play from some of my teammates. So anyway, thanks guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.